This episode is sponsored by 2K and Epic Games. I'm Hendo, here for a special episode of DIY Cosplay Shop at Baltimore Knife and Sword. This is going to be an epic crossover with Man-at-Arms to build Tiny Tina from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Kerry's going to come in and check in with my build, and I'm going to go check in with his. We have lots to make, so there's no time to waste. Let's do it. Tiny Tina's outfit has a lot going on. She has a little witchy hat, some bags and satchels, a couple aprons, and some funky footwear. We're gonna make everything out of foam and fabric. We're gonna start with the foam work. I've already made some patterns at home, so let's get started. I'm starting off with Tina's bags and satchels using some plain old 2mm craft foam. I want the backpack to be functional, but the knife satchel and fanny pack will just be for show. It is a lot of detail work, so I very much recommend using foam in different colors to make sure you can keep all those layers straight. The contact cement takes a little longer to cure in this cold Maryland climate, but masking tape should help hold all of the edges together while it sets. For the backpack, I'm using a more durable 4mm EVA foam, but the details are still regular craft foam. I love using magnets for attachments and closures. It's way easier than having to line up snaps or Velcro. Time to clean up the edges with some sanding, and then you guessed it, even more detailing. Sometimes it's easier and cheaper to just use the real thing, so I'm gluing in a zipper and some buckles instead of making them out of foam. It might have been easier to buy scissors and a knife, but it's better to have some convention-safe tools. And I wouldn't be Tiny Tina if I wasn't strapped with explosives. The dynamite is made from PVC pipe and irrigation tubing, with a little wire to help the tubing stay in place. This will also help it attach to my belt later. The craziest part of this build is the witch hat. Since I have to be able to travel back to LA from Baltimore, I need the hat to disassemble. The center cone attaches to the brim with magnets, and the buckle, band, and bunny mask will cover that connection. The bunny face is my favorite part of the build. I love carving shapes into foam with a rotary tool. I'm adding wire to the ears, reinforced with tape so that I can pose the ears in place. They're likely to get banged up a bit in travel, so this is just a precaution. The witch hat has a crazy number of little details. I actually used a paper cutter on foam to super quickly make a zillion little strips for stitches, wraps, and other connections. Kerry let me set up in his shop to do some foam sealing and priming. This is just a spray-on Plastidip. Don't forget to wear that safety gear. Now that all that foam is sealing and drying, we can go ahead and start our sewing journey. I went to thrift store and found some items to upcycle in true Tiny Tina style. So, let's roll for sewing. Getting that art style will take a lot of painting, so I want to use non-stretch fabric wherever possible to make my life easier in the future. Since she has quite a few layers, we don't have to worry too much about the quality or thickness of the fabric. Using a sewing machine isn't as intimidating as it seems. Just pretend it's a giant automatic stapler. Tina's most prominent piece is the leather apron. This is a PVC upholstery fabric, very easy to cut and sew on a machine. And the fit looks good. Tina has one random sleeve on her right arm, and I'll be cutting up that thrifted purse for the straps. One of my favorite hacks for cutting uniform straps is to just lay down tape and cut along the edges. Way faster than getting out a ruler and drawing lines. I think it's also easier and faster to hammer holes into the straps rather than paint them on. I'm actually going to punch holes in the skirt as well, then add suede cord for the stitching. I have bias tape in 4 colors for Tina's crossbody strap. A little tedious to sew, but easier than having to paint each color. Now that everything's made, it's time for my favorite step, painting! Painting for eternity. Everything got primed with gray autofiller primer, and now I'm using acrylic paint for almost every inch of this cosplay. First, I need to lay down the basic colors. Then I'll add a few shadows and details, then it gets some white highlights and that black line work. I'm repeating this process again and again for eternity on the rest of the costume pieces.
Hey Hendo, how you doing? Just figured I'd come in and check up.
Thanks, Kerry. How's the build going?
It's going pretty good. There's a lot of work there. Why don't you tell me what you're doing here?
I'm just working on the shading, so getting these darker colors in, and then I'll add the line work.
Great.
Do you wanna help?
This looks like too much work. I'm gonna get back to the forge, so you come check the sword out when you can.
Hey, let me know if you need my muscles.
All right, see ya.
It's slowly all coming together. Now I need to paint the shading and line work onto the fabric pieces. It can help to water down the paint a little bit so it glides on the fabric, but no need to be perfect. Most of Tina's hair will be covered by the witch hat, but I also want to be able to take the hat off, so I've decided to paint the whole thing. Now that everything is finally finished, there's nothing left to do but become Tiny Tina. Tina's face and body paint also gets that black line work, so I have to lay on my makeup extra thick to make sure it really pops. I have some bright blue contacts that are outlined in black, perfect for this cosplay. I'm using black water-based face paint for the black line work, which will dry and stay in place a little better than a cream-based makeup. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this super special episode of DIY Cosplay Shop at Baltimore Knife and Sword. Love you, Kerry!
Thanks again to 2K and Epic Games for sponsoring today's episode. Let us know in the comments below what you want to see us make on future episodes.